Hello all and welcome. MGTOW Philosopher here. In this video we have another leftist fool who is going on and on about how great an idea it would be to implement a universal basic income for everyone, meaning free money for all. Yes, just watch the production begin. In fact, production will be greater if we just give everyone free money, despite the fact there's no incentive to produce anything because we're giving you everything you need to live and you have no incentive whatsoever to go out and produce. But you'll somehow be more productive and the world will be a better place. And cats and dogs will get along just fine and, it'll rain money, literally for these people it will, and, hot will be cold, cold will be hot, and chaos will be order, and everything will be perfect in the world, as everything that opposes each other will become its opposite, and we'll have peace and love instead of war and havoc everywhere. Yes, the world will be a perfect place if we just give everyone a basic universal income. No problem with that. No problem at all. Yes. Well, let's see what this fool has to say on this subject.
Ladies and gentlemen, today I'd like to share a big idea with you. In fact, I believe it could be one of the biggest ideas of the 21st century.
He thinks that universal income is the biggest idea in the 21st century. Gee, I guess he forgot about planes, trains, and automobiles and all that. And by the way, this is not a new idea. This was around back in the 18th century. U.S. politicians trying to bribe all Americans with a 15-pound a year universal payment. This is nothing new about this idea. Governments have always been trying to do this. Buy loyalty, buy voters, buy power, make people into captive sheep who will support the status quo. And this is nothing new, nothing at all. He thinks it's revolutionary because he hasn't studied history.
It's an idea that could unite politicians from the left to the right.
Well, he's right about that. They're all for it, I'm sure. The Republicans, Republicans, Democrats alike, makes them popular. People would love them, of course. Advocating for free money. If you're going to offer to give people free money, everybody will love you. No question about that.
In fixing our broken social security system.
Well, the social security system isn't broken, meathead. It's a bad idea to begin with, and it was only implemented to give the Democrats voters, okay? Well, to give everybody voters, really. I mean, you give free money, you buy the Democratic vote of the old people. That's what it was initially implemented for. It was a bribe to get old people to vote, okay? Specifically to vote Democrat. Nothing more.
It's an idea that could give dignity to millions and accomplish what we should have accomplished long ago.
Okay, I gotta stop him right there, mid-sentence. Dignity. So, free money gives you dignity. Not going out and working for it, but sitting on your ass gives you dignity. Okay. Next.
Especially in our rich and wealthy countries.
So the usual socialism argument. They have a lot of money, so how much money does the person need? So I'm poor, even though I've made bad life choices, so they should give me some of their money. Even though they're rich because they made better choices than you, and you would have more as well and wouldn't need any money from them if you had made better choices. Okay.
Eradicating poverty.
Dude. Poverty isn't necessarily such a bad thing. It incentivizes people to get out of it and be productive.
But first, I have to be honest with you.
Oh, you're going to be honest, huh? As opposed to what? Have you been lying so far? He probably has been being intellectually dishonest at the very least.
It's actually not my idea.
Yeah, we know that.
No, in fact, it's the idea of this man. Thomas Paine, who sadly wasn't able to make it today because, well, he died 200 years ago.
Right. So you're going to name an old authority to support and bolster your ridiculous argument. Okay.
But it was also the idea of these guys. Some of history's greatest thinkers. Now I can hear you think, what kind of idea could unite men so different, such as the civil rights campaigner Martin Luther King on the one hand, and the free market economist Milton Friedman on the other hand?
Says you. I've heard Milton Friedman's talks on the subject, and he does not advocate for universal income, okay? He does not.
What kind of idea could unite thinkers so different, such as Thomas Paine, who thought that the government is the solution to most of our problems, and on the other hand, Friedrich von Hayek, the Austrian economist, who said that, well, the government is in fact the problem most of the time.
He was right. Okay?
What is this idea that goes against the spirit of our times, right through the old political divisions between the left and the right? What is this great idea, this utopian idea that so many of history's greatest thinkers have been dreaming about for centuries?
He doesn't even stop to take a breath, does he? Utopian? That word comes from communism, man. Utopian. Yeah, communists love to use that word, utopian. They're going to create a utopian world where everybody's equal and nobody has to work, and uber-intelligent robots are running around growing the food, and they can just sit back and do nothing. Yeah, that's fantasy. That's fairyland, pal.
Yet which has failed to come true so far. Well, some people call it the citizen's dividend.
Don't you love it? This humongous build-up he's doing. He's not going to just jump right into it. You got to really feed the sheep the propaganda before you give them the bullshit.
Other people call it the basic income. I like to call it free money for everyone.
It's not free, you idiot. Somebody had to work to make it, you fool. And then somebody else had to put a gun to their head to steal it from them to give it to the poor guy who's too fucking lazy to work.
Now that sounds good, right? I know it obviously also sounds like a utopian fantasy, something that will never come true, especially not in our lifetime.
That's right. Because even if you try it, it would be unsustainable. Unsustainable, and eventually the government would have to step in and mandate people to do specific jobs because there's just not enough getting produced and people would be dying from starvation.
But I want to remind you beforehand, utopias have a tendency of coming true.
No, they don't. Where? When? Show me one in history. I haven't seen any. Why don't you name a few so I can totally dismantle your argument?
Just think of how the end of slavery.
Oh my God! What? That's a specific incident. That's not utopia. First, so now he's conflating utopian society with a single incident in history that had one narrowly focused effect, which was to free slaves. So that has nothing to do with a utopian society.
Equal rights for men and women and democracy, they were all regarded as impossible ideals once.
Okay. So, shouldn't we then be having a utopian world? Aren't we in utopia yet? You just said utopia happens, and you're naming all of these single little events in history that have narrow focuses to the effect that they had on society, and you're now saying that they created utopia. So where's the utopia? Oh wait, we need to do more social programs and be more socially just and get more virtue signaling going on before we'll be a utopia. Where is this utopia going to happen? You just said that utopia has happened before. Freeing the slaves was utopia? Really?
But in history, there is something called progress.
Oh, he's a progressive. Oh my, of course, progress. Okay, so first you lied, freeing the slaves and giving women the vote and making blacks equal under the law with whites. That didn't create the utopia that you just said had happened again and again and again with each of these events. And by the way, he didn't name countries where a utopian system, and that's when people use the word utopia, it means perfect world, okay? So he just said a utopia has happened. Utopia has happened. No, it didn't. We freed the slaves, we didn't get utopia. We gave women the vote, we didn't get utopia. Things got worse, okay? We had the great stock market crash, we had the Great Depression caused by the Federal Reserve. We had lots and lots of problems. We had the New Deal and all that welfare bullshit under FDR. We had all these problems. So they were not utopia. Things got worse. Every time you tried to implement some kind of utopia, they didn't get better. So I don't know what the hell he's talking about. I don't think he knows what the hell he's talking about either. He's conflating things that have no correlation or connection at all, and certainly are not definitions of a perfect world. I'm still waiting for you to name the perfect government, the perfect society, the perfect culture, the perfect system that has come about on Earth. Please give me its name.
So let's start with a simple, basic question.
Okay, so he's not going to do it. He's just going to throw words around, you know, like spaghetti to wall, hope something sticks, and then move on without justifying his claim. Of course.
What is the basic income? Well, it is a monthly grant. Enough to pay for your basic needs, food, shelter, education. That's it.
Well, if that's the case, why would I go to work? You stupid idiot. I'm going to work to get food and rent and all my basic needs covered, you moron, and I'm able to save some money, but, you know, yeah, why would I'm saving money for the future, you know, so someday I can retire maybe, or take it easier and just maybe work part-time more, okay? It's not like I'm working because, you know, I love it, or I like it even. I mean, I enjoy my work, but why would I do it if I didn't have to? This guy thinks that everybody, or even most people, are working because they love it. No, they're working because they have to, you moron. And the moment they didn't have to, they wouldn't. Duh!
Now, some of you might ask, don't we have this already? Isn't there something called Social Security? Don't we have the welfare state?
Oh, big time mistake there, buddy. So now you have conflated the welfare state with something it's not supposed to be, which is a basic income. So you've now admitted that Social Security, and you're quite well aware of it, is nothing more than a form of bribery payout to essentially bribe people to vote Democrat, to bribe people to vote for bigger government, giving them some kind of, not safety net, but an actual universal income. And that's what welfare is, essentially. And Social Security is supposed to be just for old people. Unless you're smart enough to scam the system, and then you can get Social Security disability or something before you're old.
Well, yes, but the basic income is something entirely different.
Right, it would be added on top of and cost $4 to $5 trillion extra per year. Boy, that's a lot of money. Where are we going to get that money? We don't spend that much now. Not even close.
In the first place, it's universal. So everyone would get it.
Right, no matter how much money you make, everybody would get it. There would be no stipulations, no requirements that you'd have to meet. So it's just open-ended, 330 million Americans times whatever he or some other genius intellectual deems is the necessary amount to survive each month. Does that sound feasible to you?
Whether you're a billionaire or a beggar, whether you're a man or a woman, whether you're employed or unemployed, the basic income is a right as a citizen of your country.
I'm just thinking to myself right now how dumb most Americans must be, and how dumb most people must be in general. I mean, this guy is clearly pushing an agenda because either he's a total moron and believes what he's saying, which is likely, or he is a shill and he's being intellectually dishonest and he's pushing this crap to push a specific agenda and somebody's pulling his strings. Which one do you think is more likely?
Moreover, it's also unconditional. So you'll get it no matter what. No one's going to tell you what you'll have to do with it. No one's going to tell you what you have to do for it.
Wow, geez. So, you know, I could essentially buy drugs or guns or whatever. Nobody's watching. Nobody cares. It's right. My money. I'm entitled. This is just another problem with entitlements, though. Makes you lazy, feel like you deserve something. Why would anybody go to work if they didn't have to go to work? Again, why?
The basic income is not a favor, but it's a right.
No, it's not a right. What right do I have to other people's money? I'm not even gonna, right now. I'm not even going to argue the logic and reason because this guy's a leftist, and so are all the other morons in that audience probably who showed up for this. I'll argue the morality. How do you have the right to take my fucking money and give it to somebody else? That's stealing, pal. It's my motherfucking money. And how is it right to take some leech, some parasite who doesn't want to work and give him my fucking shit when I'm more productive than he is? And by the way, even if it were a requirement, to work, if you had such a system in place where you had to have a job, there would most likely be some kind of minimum. You'd have to fulfill this minimum requirement to your income. Well, depending on how high or low your income might be, it might be more profitable to be less productive. And of course, if he's saying that they can't put any controls on this, you could literally not work at all, meaning you would be zero in the productivity area. You would produce nothing. Yet you're telling me I have to produce and give to somebody who doesn't.
Just like, for example, the freedom of speech is a right as well.
I have speech automatically, but I don't have money. Okay? I don't have food automatically. When I'm born, I have the ability to speak. I have the ability to think. These are all rights because they are inherent to me as a person. I have these abilities. But I don't have food. I don't have shelter. These are things I have to seek out. I have to make. I have to create. I have to generate wealth and earn income and be productive to create them. Okay? I have to offer goods and services to other people. And this is good. This is not a bad thing because everybody benefits from such a system. Now, if I become a fucking parasite and don't produce anything and demand and demand and demand and take and take and take, and the system encourages this and actually provides me with this income to be such a parasite, then I and nobody else will produce anything. And by the way, nobody would be incentivized to become rich either, because any rich people that existed would be taxed out of existence to pay for this mumbo-jumbo nonsense.
But most importantly, in the past few decades, in the past 30 or 40 years, it has become more than just an idea. Free money for everyone is more than just an idea nowadays. It has become a proven idea.
I keep expecting this guy to just reverse himself and say, okay, I've been being satirical now I'm going to tell you the truth. Because I just can't believe anybody believes what this guy's saying. It can't be real.
As you can see on this map, there have been experiments. This map is from 2012, by the way. There have been experiments all over the world, and especially in the South. From Mexico to Brazil, from South Africa to India. Researchers in government.
Notice he doesn't mention Venezuela, which tried similar systems such as this one, but just instead of universal income, going super uber crazy with welfare, and their country is now in ruins. Notice he doesn't mention those very recent failures in history, or the very pretty recent failures in the past. I mean, the Soviet Union wasn't that long ago. It crashed. What was it, 1991? He's not mentioning those because most of the people in that audience are millennials and they don't remember that. He doesn't want them to know about that either.
Governments have experimented with giving people free money. This map shows all the cash transfer programs, as they call them, that reach at least 5,000 individuals.
Free money.
And there have also been very large-scale experiments in the 70s, in the 80s, in Canada and the United States.
You idiot, there's no such thing as free money. There's free currency. Money is actual wealth, okay? There's a difference.
Almost forgotten nowadays, but they were a big success. Now, what researchers have shown time and time and again, by comparing a test group of poor people who received free money and another control group who was similar so that they could see what the effects would be. Time and time again, they have shown that free money results in, well, lower inequality, lower poverty, obviously.
What does that mean, lower inequality? Or lower inequality? Well, yeah, you're giving poor people who have no money the same amount of money. Yeah, they're all equal in terms of money.
But it also results in less infant mortality.
Okay, where's the evidence for that? Where's the large-scale evidence where this was done on a societal scale in an entire country and there was lower infant immortality?
Look.
And even if that was true, so what? The money won't last very long. We've seen this time and time again. Yeah, gee, when you're providing everybody with free everything, sure, people who were poor, who before had no access to a hospital, now have access to a hospital. So yeah, infant mortality might go down. Yeah, ooh, there's a big surprise there. And by the way, this would only happen, the kind of results that he's talking about are done in third world countries. He's talking about giving universal income to everyone in a first world country. Of course, you're going to have these huge effects in a country where everybody is a fucking pauper. Yeah, everybody in Nigeria or Zimbabwe or some other country like that where the main export is bananas, you give them some money, they're going to do better. Where'd that money come from, though? And how many people got it? What was your research pool? How many people did you use in this experiment? I mean, are we talking just a handful of people? Please tell me about the name of the study and how many people were involved in this study, because as we all know, the more people that a study looks at, the more accurate and valid it can be. Of course, there has to be a context to it as well. I mean, was this money given by the government, produced by tax-paying workers, or was it just some rich outside group with an agenda that went to a really poor country and gave half a dozen people some money and then watched them like lab rats to see how they reacted and then took the results and reported them as a fact to the rest of the world that giving people income, free money, improves their lives? Well, of course it does. He's talking about people from a third world country who don't have jack shit. If you give a handful of people, or even a bunch of people, some money, for a short time, their life is going to be better. Yeah, no kidding.
Lower healthcare costs, lower crime rates.
No. If you were talking about a third world country where people have absolutely, positively nothing, and you're not talking about a first world country where the poverty level has such a high standard of living that people in the third world would look at you as a king, in a first world country where your idea of poverty is having a TV, a house, all the food you can eat, clean water, electricity. Boy, that's poverty? To them, you're a goddamn king. So you cannot compare the two, okay? Highly intellectually dishonest of this guy.
Better school completion records. Less truancy.
Where are you getting these numbers? You're just pulling this shit out of your ass. Nowhere in the world has a universal income been implemented that would stretch over a decade, where you could look at these numbers and look at these kids that are going through elementary school up to middle school to high school and look at their school completion records and look at their healthcare records and be able to make these claims. You have no evidence. And notice he's given us no evidence. He's pointed to no studies. He's pointed to no countries. He's just, oh, Zimbabwe and these other countries. Please. Give me a specific study. Give me numbers. Don't just give me anecdotes.
Higher economic growth. Better emancipation rate.
If you give a bunch of people free money for a short time, there will be growth. And then it will stop because the money is gone after a period of time. Duh.
And all kinds of other positive social outcomes.
Yes, if you give people free money for a very short period of time, there will be some positive outcome. Of course, then the money's gone, and you've turned them into even bigger parasites, and they still can't produce. Then you got to give them more free money. Yes, if you continuously gave people free money forever, if the money maintained its value and there wasn't such a thing as inflation, or the fact that the lack of production would devalue your money to the point where it had no value outside of your country, and the only value it had was that the government was saying it had value, but you couldn't do any form of international trade because you have no goods that you're producing that you can trade with others. So your money is essentially worthless because your money is just currency that represents actual wealth, but you have no wealth because your country produces nothing. If all those factors were removed, then maybe your arguments would have some validity. Otherwise, they're just short-term fixes and a short-term analysis and not the reality of the situation in the long run.
Time and time again, researchers have shown that free money may be the most efficient, the cheapest, and the most civilized way to combat poverty.
No. Poverty is an incentive, you fool. What do you think? People are in poverty because they want to be in poverty? No. They end up in poverty. Either they're born into it or they make bad decisions. If they're born into it, they're incentivized to get out of it. So they get an education, they develop human capital through learning skills and becoming educated, and then they get jobs and they gain on-the-job experience, and then they continue to go upwards on the economic mobility scale. They climb the ladder. There's a lot of economic mobility in first world countries. He's talking about third world countries now, and then he's conflating those findings and trying to apply them to a first world country, which is utter horseshit. The same things apply regardless, but he's trying to show that these big successes in all the countries he named, which are consequently all third world countries, he's trying to conflate those big successes with first world countries and say, no, it's worked in these places, so you know it would work in America, right? Because the same conditions exist, which isn't the case at all. And the same arguments apply regardless to a third world country as they do a first world country. So, utter horseshit that he is uttering. Utter horseshit.
Now, I'm not going to be able to summarize all the experiments that have been done, of course.
Oh, of course not. You know, he's not going to summarize the experiments. Yeah, he's saying, of course I cannot. No, you could, but you don't want to, because then you would expose yourself to being picked apart. So you're not going to give specific references to any kind of study, because if you did, people could look him up and say, oh, he's full of shit, because you are full of shit.
So I want to tell you about just one experiment that was done a few years ago.
Oh, wait a second. You just said you're not going to tell us about any experiments. Now you're going to cherry pick one specific experiment that you went into with a confirmation bias, and you manipulated all of the circumstances to get the desired outcome. Okay, continue.
In the city of London. Now this was an experiment with some homeless men. To be exact,
Wait. A homeless man?
13 homeless men that lived.
Okay, so this is just what... Didn't I say this earlier? He's talking about shit that's dealing like with 12 people or something, with a very small pool of participants in any of these studies or experiments or whatever he's talking about. Not to mention the fact that we're not being told whether or not these so-called experiments were done with any kind of scientific application, whether there was any kind of scientific standard involved. No, just some experiments. And this is like pollsters calling people up and asking questions specifically designed to elicit the answer they want. That's what this is exactly like.
On the streets of London. They were street veterans. Some of them had been living on the cold tiles of the Square Mile, which is the financial district of London, for more than 40 years.
Well, why is that? Why do you think that is, okay? So, could some of them possibly be mentally ill? Yeah, did you stop and look at the reasons why they might be out there? Drug use? Mental illness? Or they could just be lazy? Or they could just want to suck off the government teat? They don't want to work, maybe? There's numerous reasons they could be out there. Wouldn't you be more concerned with looking at why they're out there than just giving them free money? Because a lot of these panhandlers can make good money on the street. So you're telling me giving them money is the answer? Okay, let's see what he has to say about that.
And I have to mention, their presence was far from cheap. Think of healthcare costs, legal costs, policing costs. These men were costing the British taxpayers hundreds of thousands of pounds every year.
Oh, so he's talking totally. So you're just guessing, right? I mean, you're just guessing. You're just guessing! And by the way, the money would be spent regardless. What he's talking about is the costs for homeless shelters and soup kitchens and mental health facilities that would be open regardless of whether or not these specific group of people were homeless. But he's trying to get you to believe that this group of 13 by itself is consuming hundreds of thousands of pounds a year. No, he's speaking generally about all homeless people, about all programs that are there to help the homeless, and how much money each of those programs individually, if you took the cost per person that these programs have to spend and then times it by 13, you would get a specific number. But he's not saying whether or not these people actually take part in these programs. And by the way, that money would be spent anyway. The homeless shelter that has 50 people living in it and has 30 people living in it, but an occupancy rate of 50, is still going to be getting the same funding. These programs get a specific amount of set funding from the state. Okay? And by the way, he's being disingenuous again because they have universal free healthcare in Britain, and it's a crappy healthcare system. And okay, yeah, these people might be taking advantage of the healthcare system and consuming more in medical costs, but that's because they have free healthcare and they can game the system.
So, everything had been tried at that point and it was time for something new. In the spring of 2009, a local charity decided...
Everything had been tried at that point. You ever think about taking away all the homeless shelters and all the welfare that allows these people to survive as homeless people? You took away every single solitary piece of welfare in that society. You watch how many of these people get jobs and get productive.
Well, why not try free money instead? So each of the homeless men received £3,000.
Oh boy.
Cash. No strings attached. They were completely free to decide whatever they wanted to do with the money.
And you made no suggestions on how they should spend that money. You gave them no help in regards to what to do with it. Didn't help them to do this or do that. You didn't make any suggestions. You didn't guide them. You didn't interfere in any way. You just gave them the money, and you came back a year later to see if they were still homeless. Right? Right. Is that what you did? Because, of course, for this to be an honest study, that would be what you would actually have to do. So, yeah, that's what you did, isn't it?
The only question they had to answer for themselves was, what do you think is good for you? Counseling services were completely optional. Now, of course, most of the aid workers, they didn't have high expectations. They thought that, well, the men are probably going to spend the money on alcohol or drugs or gambling or something like that. But then something amazing happened. What happened in the first place is that the men turned out to be extremely frugal with the money they received.
How do you know this? How do you know? Were you still there? What? These people were not unguided. They were not like guinea pigs. They were not unsupervised. They turned out to be more frugal because you and your people were there telling them to be more frugal. Notice he's not saying, oh, we just left and came back a year later and all these people were doing great. No.
At the end of the first year, only £800 had been spent on average.
Were they still homeless, you idiot?
Where did they spend it on? Well, a phone, or a passport, or a dictionary.
But it didn't stop them from being homeless. So essentially what you're saying, because you're not telling us they all ended up to be productive workers and they all got their own apartments and they're now productive citizens and members of society. No. Oh, they stayed homeless? Oh, geez. But I thought giving them free money, their lives would improve so much. But they're still homeless. So what actually did you accomplish? Oh, the homeless people who got free phones. Oh, I see.
The man had his own idea of what would be best for him. Moreover, a year after the experiment had started, the impossible had happened. 7 out of 13 of the men had a roof above their head.
Oh, here we go. So after a year, they actually found housing. How did they find housing? Because they spent some of the money you gave them on housing. Did they get jobs? And quite frankly, this is all very suspicious to me. He's not giving us a name of a study or how the study was administered, but he is telling us that there was, just because he knows too many details, he was there along the way. He knew how frugal they were as it was going on. He's talking about a year later, but they did not leave and come back. They stayed in London for the entire year, checking it, or they were there. They hired a company in London to do this. Someone was routinely checking in on these people, helping them to spend that money in the way that was best for them. Oh, what do you think is best for you? There was somebody whispering in their ear, somebody helping them, somebody guiding them. Left to their own devices, how many of these people do you think would actually have a roof over their head and a job? But wait. Now let's see if there's a job involved here. All right?
2 more had applied for housing.
Meaning free shit from the government.
Some of the men took gardening classes. Another
gardening classes, yeah. That's real productive in a country with so little land that any little bit of arable ground, people are living anywhere, everywhere, that there is a free places to set up a house, to build a house. I mean, how many gardens are there in this country anyway? There's not a lot of gardens or a lot of need for gardeners in Britain, I don't think.
Learn how to cook, for example. They visit their children again. And all of the men make plans for the future. It sort of seemed as if the cash had empowered them.
No.
Now, I don't know if there's a politician in the room, but a politician would probably ask at this point, well, this is a very interesting story, but what did it cost? What did the experiment cost? Well, the answer is £50,000.
Okay, so he's done talking about the experiment. So he's gone into this tirade about an anecdotal supposed experiment with no controls of any kind, where the people administering it were constantly in contact with these people, were applying pressure to them by simply being in contact with them for them to be responsible with that money, were applying pressure on them by having them in this study to be productive and use the money responsibly. I would have to say that that's not an actual real experiment, because a real experiment would have left them to their own devices, and you'd have come back a year later and had no interaction with them from the time you just gave them an envelope full of money and then showed up a year later to see what they'd done with it. I bet you there'd be a huge difference in outcome if they had run it differently, meaning the correct way, which would be to leave people to their own devices.
Including the wages of the aid worker. So, in addition to giving at least 7 individuals another shot at life, the project had saved money by a factor of at least 7. And this is a very conservative estimate.
Wait. It saved life? It saved life. I'd like to look at these people a year down the line further. How many of them still have that housing? Oh, we don't have those numbers. Oh, really? Well, yeah, okay. You're just giving us the cherry-picked information that makes you look good. I see.
Even the liberal free market magazine, The Economist, concluded at that point the most efficient way to spend money on the homeless might be just to give it to them.
The only reason is because we spend so much more on programs to help homeless people, which is a huge mistake in and of itself. Because most homeless people, especially ones in big cities, or especially in America, have it better than a lot of people who have jobs. New York City, for example, talk to any homeless person there. Do a little research. They think it's great. Oh my God, they get free housing, they get so much free food, they're fat, they're not cold at night, they get nice places to live, then they don't have to work. There's many people in New York City that have jobs and live in homeless shelters so they can spend money because housing is so expensive in New York. The amount of money spent per homeless person there is outrageous. So yeah, just doing this would save money. Of course, it would be a short-term fix. And of course, in reality, you can't have these aid workers, one aid worker for every friggin' homeless person who's going constantly seeing them every day or once a week, checking in on them to make them feel shame if they haven't used their money to the proper effect, and just giving them guidance and giving them advice because you know that these aid workers were aiding them. They're called aid workers! They obviously told them how to spend the money, helped them spend the money, helped them be more productive with them, told them where to spend it, how to spend it, what to spend it on. That's obvious. This is clearly nothing more than a rigged study, no different than those phone calls from people who are political pollsters, and they ask a question that's designed to get a desired outcome. This supposed study, which is no study at all, doesn't say anything. It's rigged. It's absolute horseshit.
Experiments such as these, that have been done all around the world, show us that we need to rethink what poverty actually is.
No, because all you are is a pollster who has an agenda, you want a desired answer, and you're going out and you're doing things to elicit and get the exact answer that you want. Not the answer that exists in reality, but the answer you want to get, because the universal basic income is nothing more than a Trojan horse for communism. Nothing more.
Poverty is not a lack of character.
Yeah, it is sometimes, actually, you moron. Some people make bad choices. Some people make a lot of bad choices, and you'd be surprised how many of them stay in poverty. But the honest-to-God truth is that 90% of people in America who are in poverty now, in 10 years, they will not be living in poverty. So there's a huge amount of economic mobility. He's continuing to talk about either third world countries or people who are at this bottom of the barrel. Homeless people who have real problems, and money is not going to fix their problems, okay? It will not. It'll just exacerbate them.
Poverty is a lack of money.
Well, I guess if you're looking at things in the strictest sense and being 100% technical, yeah. Being in poverty means you don't have as much money, you're not making as much money per year. Yeah, you're right about that. You're a genius, pal. Wow. Where'd you get that soundbite from? It's so brilliant.
Nothing more, nothing less.
That's not true. So stupid. So now he's conflating character and moral fiber and being an ethical person and saying that these things have nothing to do with poverty, because all poverty is a lack of money. It doesn't have anything to do with your character or your morality or your ethics. No, it doesn't have anything to do with what type of person you are. It's just this, nothing else. Of course, he misses the fact that having bad morals and lacking character and good ethics leads to poverty in many instances because you make bad decisions. But I guess he just totally overlooked that fact, or maybe it's an inconvenient one for him. So he does what the left usually does, and either redefines something or classifies it in a way that suits his agenda.
So it turns out that it's a great idea just to give money to the poor.
No, it's not a great idea. It's a great idea from your stilted, incorrect, anecdotal, fake studies, fake research that is not real research at all, which is just research designed to look like research, but it's really just bullshit meant to make it look like you've done some kind of research, but you didn't actually do research. You just went in and essentially did things that would specifically elicit the outcome that you wanted. That's all.
We want to resolve that problem. Ladies and gentlemen, we are living through a time and age in which our societies and economies are changing faster than ever. It's an age of automation. The robots are coming for our jobs.
Oh, here we go. Here we go with the robots again. The end of the world sci-fi bullshit. People have seen too many fucking movies. I read too many Isaac Asimov books. Okay, robots are not going to steal people's jobs, okay? There are always going to be jobs, all right? I mean, I don't know where people get this idea that because robots come in or because automation comes in that the world is going to end and there'll be no work. Can anybody think back to the fact that we had an industrial revolution once? And that we had automation come in and everybody freaked out and said, oh, no, the world will end, we're losing our jobs. And then a bunch of people went out and went crazy and started destroying machines everywhere because they feared losing their jobs. And they did lose their jobs, and lots of people lost their jobs. And then what happened? Over a short period of time, they adapted, they learned new skills, and got jobs that existed within the new areas that the market had evolved, the job market had evolved, and they evolved with it to fit in and meet the requirements of that new market. And of course, the young people who were not working yet, these new necessary skills, if a society is a good one, will have taught them the necessary skills and educated them properly to fit into the existent job market at that time, and then those people going in would have the necessary skills. Yes, the job market evolves, but it doesn't disappear, you moron!
This will bring, obviously, great prosperity, but it also means that we will have to adjust.
Right. You'll have to adjust, meaning you'll have to get new skills, right? But because you can't be stupid enough to say that once the job market evolves, people can't adapt and get new jobs. You're not saying that the jobs will just disappear entirely, are you?
If we do not adjust, if we keep applying the solutions of the 20th century to...
You mean learning new skills? That gave us the most prosperous country in the world, which is America. The richest country in the world is the most productive country in the world. You mean that?
Challenges of the 21st century, then the middle class will crumble.
Okay, so now he is conflating issues again. He's trying to paint some kind of unspecified Armageddon event that'll happen if automation comes, with us not being able to adapt to what is the only solution, which is a universal income. He doesn't want to address the fact that whenever you have automation come in, there is a period, yes, short term, period of adaptation where many people will lose their jobs, but the majority of them will learn new skills and adapt and get new jobs within the new framework, within the jobs market that has evolved. And then you'll have losers like this guy who are trying to essentially personally gain and use it as a Trojan horse to introduce more and more government.
And inequality will soar. And truly, this is a dystopian future.
Now he's trying to say that this dystopian future will come about not because of a universal income, but because we don't have one. Where's your evidence for that, moron? Because I've got lots of evidence to prove the contrary. Let's look at all the countries where your ideas failed. Soviet Russia, Venezuela, Cuba, Cambodia, Vietnam. These ideas where communism has been tried, and what he's talking about right now, do not kid yourself, is communism. It failed. Universal income is a communist idea. Okay? It's been tried and failed. It destroys countries, you idiot, because it takes away the incentive to produce. Well, you're talking about inequality, you idiot. We already have lots of inequality, and it's a real thing, and inequality is fine. The only unfair world would be one where we don't have inequality. Because that would mean you're forcing everyone to be the same, and that would mean people were getting rewarded who didn't do anything to deserve it. And then you'd have people who deserve more who were getting less. So I welcome inequality, you fool. What I don't welcome is the kind of equal dystopian world you're talking about.
Nowadays, governments are obsessed with pushing people into jobs even when there are no jobs.
Yeah, it's wrong of the government to want people to work. Well, buddy, prepare yourself. Because if you introduced a universal basic income that provided for everything that everybody needed, very soon the money would be gone. Because nothing would be getting produced. Okay? So there'd be no wealth. Nothing would be getting produced. And very soon, the government would start conscripting people to take jobs. And then they would literally be pushing people into jobs through coercion, which is what governments do, meaning at the point of a gun, this is your new job, enjoy. And your basic income now becomes your salary, and you will be forced to work. It will be required of you, because the government will have no choice. As I said, the universal basic income would last for a very short period of time because you would very quickly run out of other people's money, and production would reach a point so low there would be no new money. And so you would have to physically make people work. So now, where they have a choice, they would have no choice in your world.
It's like the great inventor Richard Fuller once said, so we have inspectors of inspectors, and people making instruments for inspectors to inspect inspectors. The true business of people should be to go back to school and think about whatever it was they were doing before somebody came along and told them they had to earn a living.
The inspectors of the inspectors and the inspectors of the inspectors of the... Boy, he's really trying to muddy the waters, isn't he? Yeah. Oh, yeah, we need to go back and think about what we should really be doing before they told us we have to make a living. Yeah, because it's so oppressive to have to go out and have a job and work for my food and produce something and have pride and dignity in what I do. Oh, yeah, that's a horrible thing. Just give me free shit. Nowhere else in nature does that happen. Every other animal on earth has to work for what they get. But human beings are somehow special, and we're exempt from that, even though we also have to work to produce what we want and need. But in his magical reality, there's replicators everywhere, and you just push a button and stuff just gets created out of thin air, and poof! Nobody needs to work. Unfortunately, that's not reality.
I believe that the basic income...
Hey, look at these sheep. Look at this one guy in the audience with his hand on his chin, and he's got a little smile on his face like, oh, this is so enlightening. These sheep are sitting there and they're eating this stuff up. Talk about indoctrinated morons. They're loving it.
Better alternative to our current welfare mess.
I got a better alternative. No welfare of any kind. which is what we had before the New Deal, before FDR, the socialist whack job, went crazy and just started handing out free money like crazy and creating shovel-ready jobs and busy work that doesn't need to be done, and so spending everybody's money except his own. Yeah, why don't we go back to a time before that when everybody actually worked, okay? Why don't we do that? Oh no, we can't do that. Oh no, that's not progressive. I think it depends on what you define as progress.
Admit, throughout history, there have always been 3 arguments against it. 3 formidable objections. Now the first goes something like this. Oh, it's an interesting idea, but I've done some calculation and it's too expensive.
Bingo, you idiot. The only way you could pay for what you're talking about, which would at minimum be about $5 trillion a year, okay? You just have to print money like crazy. You'd have to print money like crazy, and you would have to double, triple the productive outcome of our country to even get close to having enough money. And you would have to tax people to death to do it as well. So, how are we going to do that? How? Answer that for me.
Sorry, can't pay for it. It's not going to work. Now this might have been true in the times of Thomas Paine, 200 years ago, when almost everyone, almost everywhere was sick, poor, hungry, and ugly.
It's true now, idiot.
But it's not true anymore.
It is true. You're just speaking propaganda. You're not going to get into any specific economic numbers.
As a society, we are richer than ever.
Okay, so now he's just going to spew platitudes and not give you numbers. He's just going to say, we're richer, we're rich, we're richer than ever, so of course we can afford it. Oh, of course, it's just a given. Of course, he's wrong. We can't afford it. Anybody can do math. What's the basic income? What's the basic amount of money you need to survive a year? $12,000? That's like right at the poverty line for a single person. 12,000 times 330 million. Throw in the illegal aliens because you know how government likes to sway them to be voters, and of course they would get it as well. Add another 30 to 40 million, so let's say 370 million times 12,000 is an astronomical number. It's in the trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. And right now we have a deficit already. We already spend way more than we get. So you're talking about adding to that by treble, at least. Doubling or trebling it. Yeah, that's a really good idea. You're saying that's affordable? How? We just go into more debt and money would be totally, you would have inflation through the roof if you printed money to cover that.
I'd like to see the basic income as a dividend of progress. Because of...
Oh, okay, so this is just virtue signaling now. Okay, so we need to do it because, hey, we're rich enough to do it, which we aren't really, but I know you're all sheep, so you'll believe me, and we need to do it as a dividend of progress, the virtue signal to the rest of the world that we are making progress, and we're more virtuous than they are. Oh, okay.
Forefathers worked so hard to achieve our current level of prosperity, we can now afford to give everyone a share of their accomplishments.
No. It's other people's accomplishments. It's not your accomplishments. You have to accomplish your own things in this world. You can't ride other people's coattails, and you can't say, hey, look at me. I'm breathing, so I'm entitled. Give me free shit.
And remember, eradicating poverty.
This is not about eradicating poverty. What you talked about, your little experiments, gave somebody a one-time fee, and it was a bullshit experiment in London. This does not work. If you just gave people a one-time fee, or even if you gave them money forever, all you're going to do is keep them unemployed or producing very little. So, but he's just measuring, but he made it very clear. He made it very clear. All poverty is how much money you have. So he is staying within the limits of his definitions. He's not talking about you having dignity or pride or being a productive person. He's just talking about you having enough money. That's all he cares about. That's all he cares about is equality of outcome, that everyone gets the same amount and that everybody is equal in that way, okay? He doesn't want anybody more productive than anybody else. He doesn't want anybody standing out more than anybody else. He wants everybody to be equal. He wants equality of outcome. He's not concerned about equality of opportunity. Equality of opportunity already already exist. You can go out and you be anything you want, regardless of what this moron says. But of course, why would you go out and be whatever you want so that you can make a lot of money, like say as a doctor or a lawyer, if somebody from birth is giving you free shit and telling you you don't have to work?
It's actually an investment.
Show me the evidence. Show me the evidence that it's an investment. Investments return on dividends. Okay? They return dividends. Okay? If I raise them well, they get a good education, they become a doctor, they contribute to society, oh, well, there we go. And so why is it that in every country that has adopted the kind of ideology you're talking about, there have been massive shortages in the very professions that require the most education and the most dedication? Doctors, scientists, people like that. Why? Because there's no incentive to become one, and the government forced people to get educations, and then they forced them to work for the government. People are incentivized creatures, you idiot. They're no different than a dog. If you feed a dog, he's going to stop hunting for his own food, and he's going to come to your house, your front door every fucking day. If you give him food every fucking day and incentivize him to come to your door and not hunt, and eventually he'll forget how to hunt, and if you stop feeding him, he'll starve and die. People are incentivized, you idiot. How are they going to improve themselves if all you're doing is giving them free money and you're incentivizing them not to work, not to produce, not to gain new skills? You're believing in some kind of Star Trek utopian ideal of the world where if you take away all the pressures and stresses of life and give people freedom, they're going to worry solely about improving themselves. That's not true. Most people are going to sit on their ass and do nothing. That's human nature, you idiot. People rarely do what's in their best interest. If they did, you wouldn't have so many fat people in the world. Do you think it's good to be fat? No, it's bad to be fat, but you have fat people anyway. Why? Why are people fat? Because it's in their nature to eat too much. Because in the past, there wasn't very much. You ate whenever you could. You stuffed your face whenever you could. You became very efficient at storing energy. So nowadays, people have plenty. And so, it's in their nature to gobble, gobble, gobble. As much as they can get their hands on. It's human nature. And people don't generally do what's in their best interest, because doing what's in their best interest is generally very hard. For anybody who has tried to lose weight knows. And that's why most people don't, and that's why most people get fat, and that's why most people on your retarded plan would just sit on their ass and play fucking video games. Or do whatever the hell else it is they would do in their leisure after they got off of work.
There's one economist who calculated that it would cost about $175 billion to eradicate poverty in the United States.
Wrong. We spend more than that on the illegal aliens and giving them welfare, you idiot. You are one of the most misinformed assholes I've ever met. Who is this fucking economist that you're talking about? Did you notice he didn't give his name? He didn't give his name. Everything he's giving us in the form of evidence is nebulous, with no references of any kind that we can check out, that hasn't been peer-reviewed in any way, that is in no way scientific, or he'd be giving us this information, and we're just supposed to take his word on it. Right. Okay.
That's quite a lot of money, right? $175 billion. But it's only a quarter of the country's military budget.
You are wrong. You are wrong. Give me your numbers. Show me the areas of spending. Okay? Show me the spending. Because I can do math. And I can tell you that 75, $85 billion is way, way off. Let me get a calculator here. So, universal income. So, $12,000 for a single individual is the poverty line. So, let us say, for example, that we spent $12,000, okay, times 370 million, because I'm including the illegals, and the number is not 11 million. It's been 11 million since 1960. They haven't updated the numbers or done any census or collecting of information to find out what the real numbers are. It's really more like 40 million. So let's say times 12,000 times 370 million. So 370, 000, 000. Okay, equals, oh my goodness, big, big numbers. 4,444 billion. This is a big number. So you're looking at about $4.5 trillion per year. Yeah, that's a lot of money. It's a hell of a lot more than the 175 billion that he just quoted. Hell of a lot more. So I don't know where he got this number, because I just did some simple math. I come up with $4.5 trillion for his little idea. Does he think people in the audience don't have calculators on their phones? Does he think that... oh, of course, he hasn't given specific numbers. So, you know, he's not telling us the amount that this universal income would be. And quite honestly, it would probably be more than $12,000. But that's just a basic starting point. And remember, he told us that a basic income would be given to everyone. There would be no requirements. Everybody from the rich to the poor would get it, and they could do whatever they wanted with it. He didn't give us a number, but he said he wants to eradicate poverty. So we can safely assume that the amount would be over $12,000, or at least $12,000, because that's the poverty line in America for a single person. So he already told us the minimum it must be, and I just gave you the minimum for everybody in America getting that minimum amount, and he said everybody would get it. So he made it very clear it would be $4.5 trillion. That's $4.5 trillion in addition to what we already spend, okay, which is much less than that. So he's talking about tripling or quadrupling our yearly expenditure. That's more than America's. I mean, that's a crazy amount. That is a crazy amount of money. Where is it going to come from? You could tax everybody at 100%, and you wouldn't get that much. You wouldn't get enough to pay. So you tax everybody, and then you give each person $12,000. So in many of these cases, you'd be giving people back their own money. Would there be requirements on this? No. He said that everybody should get this. Every single person in America would get this free money. That's what he said. Everybody would get it. Everyone. He made it very clear that everyone would get this money. $4.5 trillion.
So this is entirely possible. It's entirely doable.
No.
Or maybe 20 years, it will turn out that the investment has paid for itself.
It's not doable. Your number of 175 billion is off by orders of magnitude. Oh, he can't do math. He's misplaced a 0 or 2 times 3.
Because the government will save billions in lower healthcare costs.
Why would they say billions? How? He's an idiot. No, you wouldn't save money. There's no saving here. There's no saving money at all. You're spending all this money. What's being saved?
Will be less crime.
You don't know that. Studies have shown that there is no correlation, or very little correlation, in a first world society between poverty and crime. There is a huge correlation, though, between single mother households and criminals. When you account for the fact of single mothers and remove them from the equation, two-parent households that live in poverty are little to no different in regards to crime than the rest of society, say, for example, the middle and upper middle class. So you are lying. You haven't done your research. You're giving fake numbers. You're including single mothers in the equation. They're the real cause of crime, not poverty.
And there will be lots more productive citizens who will be able to fulfill their dreams.
Why would they be more productive? Who told you that all of these geniuses exist anyway? What, you think everybody's Einstein and they're all going to solve the mysteries of the universe and cure cancer and shit? I got news for you, idiot. Most people are morons, okay? Most people are not too bright. Average IQ of 100, okay? You're lucky if they can figure out how to get themselves out of bed in the morning and tie their fucking shoes, all right? Telling me that these people, these mouth-breathing morons, are somehow going to improve society because they have more free time on their hands is ludicrous. Ludicrous. It's an argument posited by Karl Marx, who was just as big a moron as you. You might have him beat, though. I don't know, because you have access to a lot more data, and you still believe this nonsense, or you're willingly pushing it as a shill. Either way, you're a moron, or you are intellectually dishonest. How are you going to be more productive? Why? There's no incentive to be. You're assuming that people would be productive without an incentive. It's not true. We have evidence of this. China. Let's look at communist China before they had their capitalist awakening. How about Mao? He threw a bunch of people onto farms and made everybody live on communal farms. And food production went down. It didn't go up. It went down. Why? Because people couldn't profit any. Nobody got paid. They just got their needs like a universal income, or their needs taken care of. And then by the day, they worked as farmers. But most of those people didn't want to be farmers. And they weren't getting rewarded. So they didn't work very hard as farmers. And production went way down. And then, of course, you had the corruption of the government, which caused the government to sell much of the food that the farmers grew to other countries, which went to the pockets of the Communist Party, and tens of millions of Chinese died, which is actually what Mao wanted, because he believed the country had too many people. Yeah, so your system, not so good.
So let's move on to the second objection. Maybe that one's better.
The first one's pretty fucking good. You just lied about the numbers and misrepresented them. 175 billion? No, 4.4 trillion. Minimally.
The second objection goes like this. This is an interesting idea. We might be able to pay for it, but when you give people free money, they'll stop working.
Yes, we already have evidence of this. We know it. Venezuela. I would name all the other regimes that fell, but this is the most recent one in history, the most recent country where this has been tried and failed, so I'm naming it. Venezuela. Take a look at it, buddy.
You know, it's human nature. People are lazy.
Yes.
Nothing can be done about that.
What? You just contradicted yourself. You just said in your last argument, like not more than a minute ago, that people would be more productive, that they would have more free time, they'd be more productive, and they would explore their dreams, and they get more productive. And now you're saying that, that's human nature. People are lazy. That's human nature. Now you're contradicting yourself. See, the left can't help but contradict themselves because their arguments are total nonsense. So occasionally they are going to contradict themselves, okay? Because sometimes they're going to say something that makes sense because they have to. Because it's part of whatever current argument they're trying to make, but it disproves a former argument that they had to make to support their position, which just happened to be an illogical one.
The interesting thing here is that if I would ask each and one of you in this room, would you stop working? Well, I'll give you, about 1,000 euros each month. About 99% of you would say, of course not.
Where's your evidence? What do you mean? Where's your evidence? Of course these people, if you ask them, they're going to say, no, of course not. They'd be lying, or they believe they wouldn't. Or they're not going to say, yeah, I would, and look like losers. Of course they're going to agree with you and say, yeah, you're right, I wouldn't quit for that. But actually do it in real practice and see what happens. See how many people who were formerly very productive turn into couch potato losers.
I've got dreams, I've got ambitions.
You just said people are naturally lazy. Now you're saying 99% of them wouldn't do it. Well, which is it? Take your pick.
I'm not going to sit on the couch, no.
Yeah,
But if I would ask each and every one of you, what will other people do when they'll receive 1,000 euros each month? I think about 99% of you would say, yeah, other people. Yeah, they'll probably stop working.
Here we go. So he's trying to muddy the waters again and confuse people, saying that, okay, everybody really wouldn't stop working. They're not really lazy. I just said that for effect. And, I believe other people would do that, but of course I wouldn't do that. And so he's trying to make these people, he's trying to get them to associate their own feelings with other people. What he fails to realize is, number one, this is an audience of mostly successful, college-educated people who already have jobs, who are already somewhat successful, who are already employed in some way, and have other options. That's number one. Okay? Number two, the majority of people are not them. Number three, You can only know what you'll do until the situation arises. And again, these people are not going to themselves or others, want to look like a loser. So of course they're going to say, oh, well, yeah, you're right, I wouldn't really do that. I wouldn't really do that. They're not going to be honest with themselves. A lot of them probably would. It would just be a natural progression of laziness. And hey, if stuff is hard at work, why continue to work there? Or maybe you get a job where you don't have to produce as much. You don't have as much stress. It makes less money. And you're also less productive in life. But hey, I have more free time to pursue my music. Or hey, I have more free time to pursue my programming. But do you know how many people are actually real geniuses? Very few. 1/10 of 1% or something. There's so few geniuses in the world. It's a very small number, really, that actually contribute in a meaningful way to the world. These people, I'd be surprised if any of them fit into that area, okay?
It's you.
Right, get them to agree with you by creating some kind of conflation between their feelings about themselves and their views of everyone else in society. Right, real clever there, pal. Don't give any actual evidence. Just use their personal subjective feelings to prove your point. Typical leftist way of reasoning, which is to not reason at all. Just go on your gut, your feelings.
When nature, they're lazy. Well, if that's what you're thinking, I've got some news for you. The experiments that were conducted all over the world.
Right, gives us no names, doesn't give us any real details about the experiment, doesn't let us know how it went or any references so that we can look for ourselves. No peer review done at all, just his word.
And also common sense actually tells us that most people want to contribute to society.
Yeah, because the world is like Star Trek, and if you take away the need to produce and the incentive to produce, people do it anyway, and they'll go to school for 8, 10, 12 years, become doctors and lawyers and engineers, even though there's no incentive to do so, and there'll be no real rewards given. And everybody else is getting the same amount of pay you are. Well, why would you do it? Yeah, right, why would you do it?
Most people want to make something of their lives.
Show us proof. I have lots of proof. I have decades and decades, centuries of proof. I got proof from countries where all your little experiments have already been tried in reality. And they failed on a large scale with hundreds of millions of people. You are banking on the ignorance of this audience. And you're banking on them to be so ignorant that they believe that you're presenting them with facts that have, with truths, with things that haven't been tried before. You've got a stupid audience there. Congratulations.
In fact, some of the experiments have shown that poor people, especially poor people, actually work more when you give them a free prompt.
Where? Show me the evidence. Where did it show this? You can't just say shit and not back it up with evidence, man. I can't find this evidence anywhere because you're not giving me any references. So I don't have to listen to anything you say because, first of all, it's prima facie horseshit. On its face, it's nonsense, okay? So you really need to present me with some good evidence. But I haven't seen any evidence. Just references to these nebulous studies that you're not naming.
Because it gives them the opportunity to invest in their lives or in their business.
That's your reasoning. By the way, based on studies we know nothing about. And that we know are bullshit, just from simple common sense. And we have history also that proves you wrong.
The third objection, ladies and gentlemen, might be the most difficult to overcome.
Well, the first two are already impossible to overcome. It's too expensive, and it goes against human nature. Your theories and ideas, so yeah, it's too expensive, and yeah, if you de-incentivize things, most people will stop being productive. So, yeah, both 1 and 2 are bullshit. And let's see, both 1 and 2 are not bullshit, Both 1 and 2 are, but what I mean is his objections to them are bullshit. So they're very good reasons. Let's see what number 3 is.
I heard people sometimes say, well, this is a great idea. We might be able to pay for it, and I won't stop talking, and maybe they won't too.
You say, who would say they would? Nobody would say they would. You would automatically brand yourself a hippie loser to do that. Everybody's going to virtue signal and say they wouldn't. Okay? Let's get a clue, all right?
But this is too big. Pull it.
So he didn't do anything to disprove number 2 except say to the audience, oh, think to yourself, how many of you would quit working? Oh, but now you're thinking everybody else would quit working. Oh, no, everybody else is just like you, of course, and they wouldn't quit working either because you're thinking to yourself, you wouldn't quit working, then they wouldn't quit working either. Yeah, so he gave no evidence, just appealing to their emotions.
Politicians nowadays, they're too busy with themselves and it's never going to happen. They're short-sighted. This is just a too big idea. I don't think it's going to happen. Well, if that's what you're thinking, I want to introduce you to this man.
Nixon?
You know him, right?
Oh,
this
yeah.
is Richard Nixon.
Yeah.
The conservative president.
Crook.
The corrupt president.
Liar.
The Watergate scandal. Yes.
Not as bad as
This
Obama.
man who almost implemented a modest basic income at the beginning of the 70s in the United States.
Yeah, and it would have been a bad idea then, it's a bad idea now. And by the way, Obama was more crooked than him. Nixon just happened to be the wrong color at the wrong time, that's all.
It almost happened.
Yeah, your socialist dream of creating a communist utopia almost happened.
Actually, his proposal got through the House of Representatives. And it hit the Senate floor, where doubts returned, because some of the more progressive senators said, oh, this is a great idea, but we want a larger basic income.
Progressive senators, he means communists, yeah.
So we're going to reject this proposal, and, well...
No, okay, it was shot down because it was a bad idea, because the public didn't like it, and the politicians in the Senate knew it would be political suicide to pursue this. Political suicide. Big time. Now, Nixon, of course, being the corrupt bastard that he was hoping to generate more votes with this nonsense idea. He didn't count on the fact of it being such an unpopular idea. Now today, might have gotten him reelected. But back then, no. Society had yet to degenerate to the point where it is now, all right? So, but it worked with Obama. He's essentially done this. I don't know what this guy's talking about. You already have this under Obama. You already have more people than ever in history, 40+ million receiving some kind of assistance. Many of them a lot of assistance, and lots of illegal aliens getting it too. And it's in many cases it's more than 12 grand a year. So I don't know what this guy's yammering about. Oh, not to mention the fact of single mothers. Oh my God, who are getting unbelievable amounts of assistance. So whatever this guy's talking about is nonsense. All right, total nonsense. Many people get far more than 12 grand, the minimum required to at the poverty line. Much more than that. So, yeah, Obama did exactly what Nixon did. He just didn't call it universal income, okay? He just gave these individual programs different names, but it's essentially the same thing. So, you're wrong, buddy. You're wrong. It's been done, and it doesn't work. It's not working. It's bankrupting the country, but you just want to spend more money, and you've lied to these people and said $175, $185 billion when I just did some simple math, and by your own words and admissions, it would be for everyone, this basic universal income, and it came out to $4.4 trillion, which is more than the United States budget for 1 year.
Never heard it from again. It's an almost forgotten episode in the history of the United States.
You are a moron.
But it shows us that, of course, it's possible.
No, it's possible we could drop a bomb on Russia tomorrow and blow them all up with a giant hydrogen bomb. Is it a good idea? Just because something's possible doesn't mean it's a good idea. I could cut my own leg off, put a tourniquet on it, cook my leg up, and eat it. Does that make it a good idea? No. Just because something's possible doesn't mean it's a good idea.
Remember, once again, utopias have a tendency of coming true.
No, they don't. We've already disproven this. He's trying to close with the same opening he used before. Oh, slavery ended. Oh, women got rights. Oh, utopia. What utopia? What are you talking about? Utopia is the perfect society. He's conflating perfect society with incidences within society that were good or were bad, and saying, oh, this good thing happened, this is a utopian good thing. Utopian things don't exist. You only have utopia or not utopia. more wordplay by the left.
The end of slavery,
Here we
equal
go.
rights for men and women,
Oh, here we go.
democracy, they were all regarded as impossible utopian ideals.
First of all, democracy is an evil thing, and we don't have a democracy in America, you pinhead you. It is a constitutional republic, okay? We have rights, guaranteed rights, that can't be voted away by the mob. The mob is democracy, you idiot. The mob is part of a socialist state, you idiot. This guy knows nothing about politics. Obama was a socialist. Of course he loved democracy, mob rule, collective rule. It encourages collectivism and collective rule. America is a constitutional republic, not a democracy. You moron, you.
But in history...
And the freeing of slaves and equal rights. Freeing of slaves was a good thing, but it wasn't utopia. Utopia would be the perfect world where there's no crime, there's no poverty, nobody wants or needs for anything, and everything's perfect. That's utopia. You can't change the definition and make anything what you want it to be and try to shoehorn this word into something else. I mean, well, you know, as a leftist, I guess you are allowed to fuck up the English language or whatever language you want to fuck up.
There is something called progress.
Oh, yeah. It depends on how you define progress. Fucking A. The slave owners back in the 19th century defined progress as getting more slaves. Okay? What is your idea of progress? He's trying to tell you that his ideas, he's conflating progress. He's trying to first create a general idea of progress that is shared by everyone in the world. So we're indoctrinated to believe a set of ideals represents progress. And then once he does that, and associates us and other people's ideas that don't agree with his as non-progress, and therefore evil, automatically evil, and they don't need to be listened to because they're anti-progress. That's what he's doing. He's labeling some things as progress and others as not, but in the end, he's just trying to put his own spin on the word progress.
Or slow and erratic it might be. All we need is a little more patience.
No, we need more intelligence, we need more education, so that people learn that these ideas don't work, so they don't listen to idiots like you.
All we need is a lot more collective ambition.
Oh, socialism! I knew the word collective would come up. Some collective ambition. Yeah, because individual ambition is evil. We need collective ambition, meaning everybody needs to advance themselves together. Right. Reality doesn't work that way, moron. Okay? Doesn't work like that.
Now, I understand that a short TED Talk is probably not enough to convince you that free money for everyone is going to be the biggest idea of the 21st century.
Biggest bad idea? Yeah, I'm convinced of that. Absolutely. Notice he's not labeling it a good idea.
So I encourage you to read more about it, to look at the evidence for yourself.
What evidence? Not any evidence you presented, because you presented no evidence. You've just presented anecdotes and your own opinions as fact. And represented so-called experiments as studies that aren't really studies, with no references to those studies. So notice he's not telling you what to look at. He just reference it yourself. And if you look at the media, a lot of it speaks favorably of this. And of course, the media that doesn't, well, they're just wrong. You're already indoctrinated as a leftist to believe that the people who disagree with you are mistaken. And these people have become somewhat indoctrinated here in this speech, if they haven't already been before. So they've already are suffering from the mental disorder that is liberalism. So a lot of them are just going to seek out the evidence that confirms what they already believe. They're not going to look for contrary. They're not going to look for contrary information. People rarely do that with something that they already believe in and want to believe in. So they're not going to do much of anything, the majority of these people, to find the truth. Because if they were, they would look up communist Soviet Russia, Karl Marx, his failed experiments. I mean, his beliefs, his ideas in communism, socialism have failed everywhere they were tried. They're not going to look up the Frankfurt School. It was a loosely collective, a cabal of people who had been involved in politics in various Eastern European countries and then got together in Frankfurt, Germany, in the early 1900s and tried to influence the country there until Hitler came to power, and they got on his bad side. So they fled to America, and ever since have transformed America into a communist bastion that is quickly moving toward the cliff of full communism. He's not going to tell them where to find information about that. He's just speaking generally. Yeah, go with your confirmation bias and confirm for yourself what you already know is true. Yeah, that's not the way you find the truth.
Think, isn't it time to update my worldview?
No. my worldview is updated by my logic, reason, and critical thinking skills, and I make my own decisions. I'm not a fucking sheep like the people in this audience that are believing and sucking up every word you say because they want to believe it and it serves their own self-interest. No, that's not me.
As I said, our ideas often lag behind the speed in which our societies and economies are changing.
He's just bumbling around. He's mumbling nonsense. That doesn't mean anything. What you just said means nothing.
The basic income may not be implemented in the next 3 or 4 years, but it may be implemented in the next 30 or 40 years.
If it is, the world will end, you moron.
Ideas can and do change the world. In fact,
ideas, we know that from Karl Marx. Especially bad ideas tend to change the world. Marx had a lot of bad ideas that people have tried to implement in countries such as Venezuela and Russia and China, and they failed miserably. They failed so miserably in China that China, as far as economic communism, have given up on it. They still practice political communism in the form of a single party and no vote, but capitalism is how they made their country better, not by free money. Free money didn't pull them out of poverty, you idiot. Capitalism did that. Try looking at the positive examples of capitalism and what has actually worked to pull people out of poverty, and don't try to manufacture your own bogus studies to prove your point, but you have no actual historical examples of any of this working, even though everything you're talking about has been tried and failed. You are a liar. You are a disingenuous scumbag. The best experiment of all is reality. And you want to look at reality and where the ideas that you are advocating have actually been tried, and your ideas have been tried on multiple occasions. Why don't you talk about them? Oh, that's right, they failed.
History is ruled by little else. It's like the famous Irish poet, Oscar Wilde.
Right, history. Yet you make no references anywhere in history where any of this worked. You're saying that he's trying to brand this as some new idea, just like Bernie Sanders tried to create a new form of socialism. Democratic socialism! It's not real socialism! Of course, when you hear him start talking about redistribution of wealth and income inequality, it's the same old shit, just a different label.
Once said, stronger than 1,000 armies is an idea whose time is gone. I believe.
Yeah, and weaker than 1,000 armies is the bad idea that has come also. It's a bad idea, pal. You're trying to take these iconic sayings and conflate them with your stupid ideas, which have been proven false.
That in this century, the time has come for free money for everyone.
And I will close by saying money is not free. People have to work for it. Money is not money. Money is currency. Now, gold and silver are money, okay? Things are money. Things have value. Money, paper, has no value. You cannot give away free money. He's trying to lead you to believe that everyone in the world is like Star Trek, where they're all basically concerned about some philosophy of self-improvement, and that everybody in the world, like even the majority, would go out and work and earn degrees and get educations if they didn't have to. Yeah, they would all do that if they didn't have to. People do stuff they don't have to do all the time, even though it's hard work and a pain in the ass. Yeah, geez, I want to crawl into the sewers and pull giant rats out of pipes because they're blocking up the pipe. I want to do that. I want to crawl around on a girder 100 stories above the ground because I just want to do that. Yeah, I just want to do that. You know that the people he's talking to are academics and intellectuals when he starts spewing this bullshit about people are going to work and to improve themselves. because self-improvement, that's what everybody cares about, right? So everybody's going to do that. Well, no, the only people who share his kind of worldview are going to be academics and intellectuals who live inside their own minds, and they create these kind of maps in their head, these diagrams of realities, these constructs where this kind of stuff would work. But it's all an intellectual exercise for them. But they mistake that for actual reality because many of them have never had to work a real job in their lives. For the people out there who do work, which is the majority of society that are not academics, their jobs suck. They suck ass, okay? Why in the world would these people whose jobs suck ass but are 100% necessary for society to function, why on earth would they go out and do this shit if they didn't have to? You are living in fantasy land, man. And a large percentage of people in that audience who say, for virtue's sake, that no, I wouldn't stop doing what I'm doing now if I didn't have to. Well, they might. You don't know that. And human nature says they absolutely would. And we know from history, if we look at other countries that have implemented these policies, they do. It becomes nearly impossible to find people other than dumb, unskilled workers, because there's no incentive to gain skills. And then you have to look and search for people to send to medical school and send to college and get educated as scientists and doctors. And then you have to force them to work because there's no incentive to be productive. So you literally have to assign jobs to people. This shit has been tried and it's failed. But he's telling everybody in this audience that it hasn't. This is a new idea. It's a revolutionary idea. And so it needs to be tried. Its time has come. He's a lying scumbag who can't even do math. $185 billion. $4.4 trillion. And these people are still believing what this guy has to say. How many people in the audience actually believe what he's saying? I'm scared to think that many of them did. And that makes me fearful for the future of the world. That people can so easily forget the lessons that history has taught us. Can so easily forget these lessons about these other countries that have tried these policies and failed. And now he's standing up there saying, this is a new idea that's never been tried before. So let's try it, shall we? Because I've tried it a few different times in a few different places with a few different people. And I got an outcome that was this great. And this was the great outcome I got. So it'll work on a scale of a society, even though everything I did it in a way to give me the result I wanted. It wasn't a realistic thing that I did, but I got the answer I wanted so I could come to you and say, this is what happened, and then I can hold it up as some bogus evidence that this is what would actually happen if we implemented these policies. Hooray for me.
Thank you very much.
I want you to see the names so you can contact them and tell them what idiots they are. Independently organized TED event. Okay, so, yeah. Total nonsense. A guy named Rutger Bregman, sorry. This guy is an idiot. His ideas are idiotic. I can't believe he's anything more than a paid shill speaker. If he believes the stuff he's spouting, then he's a moron and he's not worth listening to, and he's not worth listening to anyway. But the only other option, other than him being a moron, his ideas are idiotic. So in a way, if he believes them, oh my God, I mean, either he's a moron or he has no conscience, because these are extremely damaging and would destroy societies just as they have in the past. This video really, oh my God, has annoyed the shit out of me, and this guy's propaganda bullshit is really pushed all the wrong buttons. This is the longest video I ever made, and I'm sorry for the length, but there was just too much nonsense, too much disinformation, too much propaganda, and too many attempts by him during the conversation to do a lot of mental gymnastics and try to weasel his way out of certain arguments and be weaselly about creating other arguments and contradicting himself constantly, that I was constantly having to interject. And the amount of gymnastics, both verbal and mental, this guy was doing were, whew, wow. You never see that kind of gymnastics being necessary when somebody who's making logical, reasonable, correct points. You never see that when people are doing that. But when you see someone doing this, it's necessary to interject a lot. So I apologize for the length. I hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe, and I wish you a good night. Take care.